I call Panama the walkie-talkie for the iPhone world, where Sam and I have been walkie-talkieing back and forth, recording little audio ideas and passing them back and forth on Panama. It's really a pretty interesting app. Just to lead in, what's your background? How did you get into this world?
So, my background, I'm a computer scientist. I've been making products for a long time. What got us into this is we were big phone users. We loved our smartphones, and we were looking at how pervasive they were becoming. And we were big believers that, voice is everything. It changes, communication. And we were kind of frustrated about the way communication on the phone sort of made you have to get somebody live on the phone, right? So I've got to call you, you got to be there, I got to be there. If it's more than two of us, it's even harder. And sort of the replacement or the fallback, voicemail, we're kind of voicemail haters. We don't really think it works. And SMS, it's a little bit limiting. And so we thought, wow, look at the smartphones. They're everywhere. They're so powerful. Look at these user interfaces you have. And we said, we think we can do better. We can do something that's going to be really interesting. And like you said, walkie-talkie. What we like to say is Panama is the kind of application that lets people talk without calling. So I don't have to call you to talk to you. You and I can have a conversation.
Well, do you have a video or a demo?
Well, I've got a little demo here. So if you bring up the Elmo guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a couple of modes of conversation. One is in public. And so, and I'll just hit our little public timeline. And that's people can just sort of have a shout out about something that they're thinking about. And then people can respond. And it can be a very open and free-ranging conversation. And then people can actually take that conversation private, or if they have other friends, they can actually talk privately. And then we have this inbox here, and you can see there's a bunch of little badges there to tell me how many messages I haven't seen. I've got another part of this is just this whole idea of friends. So we can onboard people through Facebook, through your contacts list, and we'll have different types of social networks that we leverage going forward. But getting back to the inbox here, I've got a little sort of test conversation that we had, and it started, actually that's, well maybe it is the one. No, it started a little earlier. I'm just going to try to find this one here. Right, with me saying something like, hey, are we ready for the App Showcase? And as demos go, right, App Showcase setup. Hey guys, are we all ready to go? Where's my gin and tonic? I'm really going to need it. And, and you'll see that there's a number of different participants in this conversation here, right? And here's a conversation that we have a half a dozen people contributing to, and none of us had to be in the same place at the same time. And it was sort of a free-ranging conversation. This one was kind of fun. It's just about this demo, right? If I wanted to do a new conversation, it's really simple. I come up here and ask for a new conversation. I'm having a hard time seeing it. And I might say something like, hey, Robert, really great, talking with you this evening. I'm looking forward to some feedback and insight into how you think we could do a lot better, right? I'd stop that, and then I'll say, oh, I need to add some people here to this conversation, and I'm just going to look to the side to make sure I'm hitting that button correctly. There we go. And I'm hoping I'm on the network because that's going to try to bring something up. Gotta love demos. All right, guys. Did that 100 times today, and it's not coming up. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to try that again. We're just going to hit that, and I'm going to hit. There it goes. And so I'll just come in here, and I'll look for Robert, and I'll say, oh, Robert, and I should probably copy Sam on that message. And then I'll hit done, and then, I'll hit send. Back to here. Hey, Robert, great talking to you tonight. Let's get together and talk about it. And then I'll stop, I'll hit send, and it's just that easy. And now you'll get a push notification on your phone, and then you'll respond back.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that's it. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm sure you have a lot of, or some questions at least, to ask. But, I mean, that's the basis of the whole application.
Now, how are you planning to make money with this?
Well, let's talk about value. So what we found is that in our own lives, this has really started to become something that's very important in the way we communicate with our friends, with people that even we just want to meet. And so what I did is I actually started to count the number of minutes I was using as a regular phone user. So how many minutes per month was I using, how many SMSs? And then I started to look at how that changed over time as I started to use my own application. And what we found is that I was down about 1,000 minutes on sort of real-time talking, and up more than that in terms of text messaging and minutes that I was actually using on my own program. And what we found is that we actually enjoyed this conversation much more. And what we think is that when people start to look at that and actually value that and have, you know, have these conversations that they can keep, that are persistent, that they can go back to, that are funny, that are engaging, that really that value will dictate, you know, how we make money. And it may be in any number of ways. Upsells for funny voices, you know, archival things. You know, we really honestly don't have that answer today, but what we're very confident in is the value is there. The value proposition for the user is very strong.
How are you finding adoptions going? You know, and have you found any tricks on how to get people to adopt it and spread it to their friends and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we've been running for about the last month or so, just trying to, you know, work the kinks out of a system. Like any big, you know, well, what we hope will be a big system, we're worried about the scaling issues, we have to debug things. Once they go live, things go wrong. So we've actually got about 16,000 people who've downloaded this, and we've made no real PR, I mean, other than maybe starting tonight, no real PR attempt. And so we've got a lot of people using it, we've got this public timeline, and what we found is like any community building experience, there are some people who are just going to get it, and they're going to really enjoy it, and they'll start bringing other people on. And so we have this great guy, his name is Chris Moreau, from, believe it or not, Baton Rouge. And this guy is a character. He is just killing it on there. I mean, he is just entertaining us. He's bringing in people. He's actually doing community support for us. He's reporting bugs to us. This is fantastic. We start to see this happen, and we just know that these people are getting engaged. They're having a good time using the app. Now, like any other thing you throw over the fence, you don't really know how it's going to turn out, right? I mean, this could be anything from a dating app to a political outlet to, you know, you name it. But what we're finding is that people are really coming to us and telling us how they like it.
By the way, I'd love to get the crowd involved. So if you have questions, there's a mic up here. We have about a minute left with Panama. Yeah, just come on up or yell it out if you have a question. I'd love to get the crowd involved.
Oh, we have some hands.
Do you have a hand? There we go.
Yeah, what do you see?
Yeah.
With respect to usage on the devices, I assume you have some analytics in there. What are you seeing usage-wise, iPhone versus iTouch?
Yeah, okay, so that's a really great question, and it brings up something else. So we actually do support the iTouch. We're finding that iTouch users, because they typically didn't get a microphone when they bought it if they were an early user, are texting in a whole lot. So these are kids, and they're really using text because that's the modality that they're really used to. Adults, you know, who have the iPhones are really starting to use this as sort of a private communications device. It's very important to them in sort of their day-to-day life, communicating with their family and their coworkers. What we haven't done yet is release our Android and BlackBerry apps. You can actually see them outside. So what we're actually pushing this is across all different mobile platforms. We think that's a very important factor. And we've had people just dropping messages saying, hey, when can I get this on the Android? Because we're really seeing that coming on strong.
I can see using it with my family or personal friends. What about giving a message to my Facebook followers or my Twitter followers? Can I do a public message?
Thanks for reminding me about that, Robert. So we actually onboard people with Facebook now, and we have a version that we're using on our staging servers that will now post to your wall, right? So you can actually post to all your friends via your wall. And then Twitter, the same thing. We're working on sort of the dynamics on Twitter because it's an interesting sort of back and forth, and we're trying to understand how we could actually maybe pull things out of your Twitter stream and actually add them to the conversation so that's not just one way.
Yeah. One place walkie-talkies have traditionally been used is skiing. I see a lot of skiers use walkie-talkies to arrange where we're going to meet on the mountain for lunch or whatnot, but skiing doesn't usually have good 3G. How does it handle bad 3G environments, sort of like this building?
Yeah, well, so this building's a 3G dead zone, and what we're doing is we're building in a little bit of robustness so that if you send a message, it will try to store that message and then forward it later, right? You're absolutely right. What we found was that, and because I drive about 50 miles to San Francisco each day, that you run through many challenges, you know, on just the way to the office. And so that's an important factor. And actually, some ski resorts you can get, you know, good coverage, but you're right. This is something where we're still working, and we fall back to the Wi-Fi when possible.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks.